Hey guys, welcome back to Thorough Capping. Today we're going to look at um, Saratoga for 7/19, which will be Wednesday. And what I did was I did the races 2 through 10. Race number 1 is one of the hurdle races, and I don't do the hurdles. So we're going to take a thorough look at the grid mainly. We will go to the PPs here and there, but we'll look at the grid. For race 1, I came out with a 2, 1A, 7, and 3. Now, I did not do the pace velocity figures for this because it was a 7-horse race, and I narrowed it down to the 1A, the 2, the 3, and the 7. So what I did was I just pretty much looked at where they fell on the matrix side and where they fell on the qualitative side and ranked them as 2, 1A, 7, 3. If we take a look at that race real quick, we get up to that race. Where are we at? Race 2. 2 is actually 7-5 morning line favorite. The 1A is 6-1. 7 is interesting. 7 is a first time. Actually, not. I consider him a first time starter simply because the last race was just he had an excuse. It's a Todd Pletcher horse, and he's putting IRAD on him today, but yet he's dropping him. It's $850,000 purchase. Started him out at a maiden 90,000. Had a troubled trip, and yet now he's dropping him down to 40,000. So either something went wrong with this horse, and he's dropping him down, but yet the question is that much of a drop down enough for this horse to win the race, especially with these connections? So my plays in that race are going to be 2, 1A, 7, and 3. Okay, I can't put him first, even though, like I said before, my rankings necessarily don't mean that much. Only if I'm looking at a multi-race wager, I might decide, who's going to be my top 2 in a particular race. But I will not be playing a pick 5 simply because race 6 is a 2-year-old maiden special weight with a lot of first-time starters. So I think I'm going to skip on that and see how the day goes, see how these races go to determine whether I'm going to play something late, like a pick 4 late. Even the pick 4 starts in race 3, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And these are some tough races here. As you can see, my contenders, I had 6 here, 5 here, 6 here. So it was tough to narrow it down. So if I were gonna play even a pick 4, without looking at this race, there was at least 6 or 7 first time starters in race number 6, and we'll look at it real quick when we get there. But it would probably be too deep of a ticket, so I'm gonna pass on the multi wager there. Race number 3, I labeled these 2 races triple E's because there's 3 or more early runners in this race. And I wanted to make a note of that ahead of time. That way when I was doing my final rankings, I would keep that in mind and look toward late speed. Race 2 here, the 1 horse stands out for me mainly in the matrix over here. And that's why I listed him as my first choice here. The pace velocity, 3 and 6. And if you notice, I'm using new grids. Okay, I'm using new grids where I can go 2 deep in some categories, and I can go 3 deep in other categories. That way I'm not eliminating too many horses or eliminating the wrong horse. I'm giving myself a chance, or I'm giving certain horses a chance to move on to the next phase. I went 1, 7, 3, 6 in this race. Race number 4. I have 2, 1, 6, 3. Let's look at that race 3 real fast here. The 1 is the 6-5 morning line favorite, and I did put him on top. And it's a 5.5 furlong race. So what I did was, for the final fractions for 5.5 furlongs, I went with the early fraction. I went with the quarter to the half rather than to the finish. from the second call to the finish, because I just feel that the early fraction is more important, and where the horse is setting up and what he does to the second call to the top of the stretch. So I use that as in my final fraction category. But again, in race 3, I had 1736. So if we look at the morning line, we have 6-5. We have a 7-2 here. The 3 horse moving up in class. The price horse in this race. And the 6. I mean, I really wanted to... this is the race I really wanted to use the 6 on top. But until Katie Davis wins a race at Saratoga, I don't know if I can put that horse on top. But if you notice, by the numbers, the horse could be worthy of being somewhere near the top, along with the 3. If this race is 1 on the front end, it very well could be the 3 horse. 7 is my target, so I use 7 as my second choice. 1736. Okay, race 4. I have 2163, and this, to separate here, I really lean toward the velocity, the pace velocity, because I have the 2 and 1 really dominating the grid over on this side. The 2 and 1 are dominating the grid here as well. And but before I had this done here, I had a battle between the 3, the 4, and the 6 on this side, even with the 2 as well, with the 1, 2, 3, and the 6 over here. So I used it as my separator, the pace line velocity, and I have 2163, and I left a 4 out of my top 4 selections here. Okay, race number 5. Race number 5 was another race that had 3 or more early runners. Let's take a look at 5 real quick. Okay, we have the 1 is an early runner. I didn't count the EPs as early runners because they can run off the pace. I'm mainly talking about need to lead horses. Okay, one of them is a scratch. The 4, I got rid of the 4. We have the 8, and we have the 9. 8 and 9 are both dropping in class. So if this horse is this race is 1 on the lead, it's probably going to be won by the 8 or the 9 up front. But I'm using that trying to use this to my advantage. The fact that there's 4 E runners in this race, and what I did was once again, because of that reason, I lean toward the velocity grids. Now the 7, who's actually a presser in this race, the only presser, the only off the pace horse, is actually coming off the pace line with the best early velocity as well. But this is what sold me right here. The mid-race velocity to 57.6 feet per second. And the second best third velocity. And he just runs the table here across the board in the averages. So I use that horse on top as the top choice in there. 7. Then I use my drop-down, class-dropping, early speed horse, the 9. 3, and the 1. I left the 8 out of my rankings there. So we go 7, 9, 3, 1. Now the 7 is moving up from a maiden special weight, but this is a low-level claiming race for Saratoga. 16,000 non-winners at 2, so it's not that big of a jump. I'd be more worried about these horses that are dropping out of 50,000 starters down to 16,000 than the horse that's moving up in class into a 16,000 claimer. All right. Race number 6, like I said, was a lot of first-time starters. There were a couple pace lines I could have pulled out of here, but that's it. I mean, I just passed the race. That's not a race I'm going to play. Okay, race 7. Moving along. Race 7, I have a 4-7-5-2. 4 is my target. Top speed, cumulative. Second in target buyer, or target Briz. Also coming out of a next out winner race. Only horse that has a high percentage trainer rating for certain categories. He is dropping in class. He's my overwhelming choice pretty much in this race. Followed by the 7. The 7 is making his appearances on both the matrix system factors, as well as a few times over here. He's also a class drop, and he could be the class drop early speed in this race as well. The 5 will push him in this race. 4752, and this was a mile race on the turf. So I am looking for somebody off the pace to win the race. And I got Pratt for Abreu dropping in class. I have an $80,000 to an optional claimer. He's not taking a tag, so he's not, he's not concerned about losing the horse. But at the same time, I think he puts himself in a position to win this race. So we have a 4752. Race number 8. Start with my top choice, which is the 6. The 6 horse is my target and ability horse. He shows second in Target Briz, coming off a move on the turn along with 3 others. And he also has a trainer notation. So 6 is my top play here, followed by the 4. I did not run the velocity pace for the 8th or the 10th, simply because if you look at race 8, I just have too many horses coming out of sprint races that I really wasn't able. And then I have a horse where I'm pulling pace off of mile 8, mile 3/8. I just didn't feel it. It was a 6-horse field. That's mainly the reason. It was a 6-horse field, and I just figured with the 6-horse field, I could use just these 2 here and eliminate I eliminated the 1 horse and the 5 horse, and I came down to 6, 4, 3, 2 as my plays in race 8. Okay, race 9. Race 9 was a 5.5 furlongs on the turf, so another sprint race. Again, I used the early fraction in place of the final fraction. And let's see. I have the 8435. The 8 horse is my early speed horse. Okay, I don't have any class droppers in this race. 8's my target. Top early fraction. So I should change that to EF, but I knew what it meant, but early fraction there. 8 is also dominating the early pace, velocity-wise, and he's got the top overall pace, and he's coming off a stretch move. So that was enough for me to say the 8 horse is my play here as top play. If we take a look at the 8 is not the favorite, morning line favorite. Not saying he won't be. Moving up a little bit in class. This is a 149. This is a big price allowance race, but there's nobody that's been running at that price. I mean, you could say they're all moving up in class if you wanted to, if you look at that number. But the highest we got is 95,000. But the 8 horse is my top play. Castellano for Joe Sharp, followed by the 4. Okay, the 4 horse is my ability horse. Second target. Tied for first with the 5 in the Factor X. Shows a little in sustained pace. And trainer mentioned 8, 4, 3, and 5. And then finally, race 10. Race 10 is a non-graded stakes. And that's another race again. There were too many horses that I felt I wouldn't be able to pull be really accurate with my pace velocity, simply because we got horses that are coming out of sprint races. I'd have to use the first quarter instead of the half and then it's going to be, the numbers are going to be bloated. But at the same time, then we're matching up against horses that are actually coming out of routes. But here's another sprinter. Okay, I tossed the 4. Another sprinter. So I didn't really feel that and then here's another one where I wouldn't be able to pull a sprint race. Another router. I don't feel that those numbers would have done me any justice. So I skipped that stage. And I just went with my matrix factors. And my factors over here. The 9 on the turn move is in bold because it was a wide. He was wide on the turn. Let's take a look at that real fast. He's stepping up in class, but he made a 4.5 length move on the turn while being 3 wide. So I made him my second choice. And my top choice in that race is the 3. Early speed, speed cumulative, target Briz, tie for best fraction, final fraction, second in ability, first in target, 3-9-1-6. So most likely tomorrow, what I will do is I will be playing probably some vertical plays in these races, some lower budget tries and budget exactas. Put a few dollars to win on anything in here that shows up in here with value. And then whatever, if I can accumulate something from there, then maybe invest in a pick 4 tomorrow in races 7 through 10. Right now, if we want to take a look at a possible pick 4, what I might do is, let's see. Race 7. I want to find the race with my overwhelming choice. Now, I would say the 8, but again, I made note that that 8 was moving up in class. Let me see that race again one more time. Race 9. This was the 149.5. Well, yeah, he wasn't moving up that much in class. I mean, I may think about him as a single, but if I put him right now as a single, the 8, let's work around that a little bit. What would I do in the first race? I'd probably go 4. I might go all 4 of them. 2, 4, 5, 7. I might even make the 6 my single, but we'll go 4, 6. With the 8. With the 139. And then second ticket, if I went 2 tickets deep, I might go 6 as my single here. Maybe just go 4, 5, 7 in the first leg. Throw an extra horse in here. Throw the 4, 8. And then go. So this is 4, 12, 24. This is a $12 ticket. 4, 2 is 8. And then let's go another $12 ticket. 139. Now, you know what? Maybe we'll go 1369. So even if I don't play them, we'll see how it turns out. And again, I'm at the mercy of my handicapping and selecting the right selections and selecting the right contenders. All right, thanks for tuning in. We'll see how this goes tomorrow.